Hi, this is Joseph Anthony of the Wonder Child blog. Just driving home Sunday morning. Wow, it's not Sunday morning, afternoon. Holy smokes, it's Sunday afternoon. Driving home from the retreat that Lefty and I led up in Dalton, PA at the Fatima Renewal Center. And you know, I just wanted to reflect a little bit with you on my experiences on the weekend. And you know what? It was a beautiful weekend. Absolutely beautiful weekend. I feel very honored and humbled to be a part of it. And some really beautiful, profound changes happened for everyone there. And you know, one guy, he came to the weekend Friday with, he was so locked and bound up in his pain. He just written all over his face. He had such a pained look on his face. And by Sunday morning, to hear him laughing and cracking jokes, you know, he had some really tragic things happen to him when he was a child, and to learn to come to terms with his past, to watch him learn to come to terms with his past and accept that there are some things he just can never change. He won't ever get that love and tenderness from his parents that he wanted as a kid, and the protection that he wanted. To watch him learn that he was going to have to learn to give that to himself, and learn to ask that from us, from safe people in his life, to help reestablish his connection with the divine within himself. To learn to watch him learn to ask for those needs was a beautiful and profound experience. He was so brave and courageous to watch him work through some very painful issues. And you know, and they're issues that we all face sometimes. They're all issues that we face sometimes. Learning to love ourselves, learning to feel worthy to be loved, learning how to reparent ourselves. And watching the guys, they were so sweet and vulnerable this weekend. Just some of these guys were hugging, and I had never ever seen them hug before. Some of the guys asked other guys for hugs, and they had never asked another man for a hug. And it was beautiful. And one guy is working on some issues he's getting married in a month, and learning how to communicate his wants and needs with his fiance about the house they want to buy. And it was really very moving and sweet. Another guy was working through some really deep issues of just feeling like he couldn't measure up to people. You know, he could never measure up to his dad, and learning to accept himself as he was, and watching him go through that process. Again, really a wonderful experience. One guy came to the weekend and he's like, you know, I didn't bring any tragedies with me this weekend. Nothing real huge was coming up. I just enjoyed being and supporting other guys going through their process. And he actually had to tell his mind that everything was okay. There doesn't always have to be a trauma and a tragedy to come and get something profound out of a weekend like this. He was just there with us. Excuse me. And I led 2 EFT sessions during the weekend, and one of them was on fear, tapping through fear. And you know, that was watching the guys. At one point I looked up as I was tapping and guiding them through the session, and the guys were crying. And to help guide them through the fear and the pain that was coming up, and to get them to a place of clearing some of that out so they can reestablish that connection with God as they understand God. And it was a very wonderful, beautiful experience. One guy, some really deep stuff started coming up. He was feeling really blissful and beautiful sensations in his body, and he had to pull back for a second because he just really wasn't knowing what he really questioned whether that was okay. And he said, you know, I get that when I pray, and my connection with God when I'm praying, and now I'm getting it in my body. And just watching him reconcile that it's okay, that prayer, you live your life in a way, everything is prayer. Even if your body's feeling blissful, that's great. God, the goddess, the force of the universe wants our bodies to feel good. And to watch him walk through those issues of accepting that he's allowed to feel good in his body, in his heart, in his soul, in his mind, and using the words that are comfortable for him. And at one point, I asked him, I said, is it okay if I tap for you? Because he needed a little break, but I could also see he needed to keep moving. And to step into my power there a bit and to help guide him. I believe when people are tapping, you know, they have the spark of the divine in them. They know where they need to go. It's hard to see the path when your eyes are clouded with tears, or there's resentment or shame going on. It's hard to see the path, but deep inside you know. And someone who helps facilitate the tapping can just help guide you to where you need and want to go. So I started tapping for him, and it was just so beautiful to watch him continue to move through the issues he needed to move through. And one guy shared with us his conception of God, and not to try to convince us or get us to believe what he believed, but to illustrate for us that every human being has to come to some understanding for themselves of what God is, or what the goddess is, or what the universal spiritual force is in the universe, whatever name you want to give it. And he just encouraged us not to get caught up in the name. The power of the universe, the creative power, doesn't care what we call it. Any praise is accepted, you know, it's just okay. But so many of us get stuck in our prejudices and locked into a name, and he really helped guide us through. It's a connection between us and that force, and us and each other. And really, the other thing he tried to get across too was how important it was for us to support each other on that journey, that we can be the God for each other. Wonderful experience. And you know, this morning, you know, I brought my guitar on the weekend, and I was gonna sing, but the crowd ended up being a little smaller than we had hoped. A couple guys, you know, got scared away by the snow, and this morning when I brought my guitar down to pack in the car, it felt okay. I wasn't gonna sing. You know, there was a part of me that wanted to, and the thing is, even though I'm helping facilitate the weekend, I had to learn to ask for what I needed and wanted. And I was actually unclear in me, because I was afraid of what people would say or think. There's no finish line, right? So I didn't ask, you know, hey guys, can I sing? I just left it be. And turns out this guy said to me, he goes, Joseph, I'd love to hear you sing. And then he requested one of my songs. It's called Within Your Heart. It's the first song I put up on YouTube, and back a year ago. So I sang Within Your Heart, and just at the breakfast table. And I look up as I'm playing, and the guys are crying. And you can feel the hearts opening up in the room, and knowing that my music was a part of setting the tone for that morning session. After I sang that song, another guy said, will you sing the Cornfield song? So I sang the Cornfield song, and then I sang Be Here Now, the title song from my new CD. And then Lefty looks at me and says, how about one of those chants you do? And I felt so grateful and moved that he asked me to sing my chants. My chanting music is very important to my heart and my soul, and the spiritual work that I do, and my connection with the divinity, with the divine. I love singing praises to God, Goddess, in whatever language that I know. And I'm learning Sanskrit and Hindu languages, so he asked me to sing one. And I was nervous. For a few seconds there, I had to process. There's some guys in the room who were they're more of a Judeo-Christian traditional background, and I got worried it might offend them, or it may freak them out, or what are they going to think of me? And all that went through in just a few seconds. And I know now when the doubts come up like that, or the fears, to just move through the fear. So I just started singing. And to hear the guys singing back the lines, and I do kirtan chanting, so I sing a line and they repeat it back, and to hear them, the way they were pronouncing the words, cracking me up with joy, not laughing at them in any way, just there was so much joy there to hear these guys singing. Lefty said afterwards that when he was, when we were singing, he said, I was breathing through my whole body. And it was, he said, and when I did that, I could feel the love in the room as we were singing those chants. And I sang 2 chants, God is my refuge, and Badram Te, which is just a blessing chant. And so I didn't even know in that that morning that I needed to ask for that. But the way Spirit works, everyone on that weekend got what they needed. And I learned the lesson that, Joseph, next time just ask, I want to sing. And you might think, well, I've got all these videos and music up that I wouldn't have any insecurities like that, but sometimes I still do. And there's, as I said a minute ago, there's no finish line. There's always work to be done. And it's beautiful work. So anyway, there was a lot of sweet vulnerability this weekend. A lot of deep and profound changes happened for everyone. And not only that, but the food was fantastic. There's a wonderful cook up there named Britt, and she accommodated our every need, and I'm a little picky. I'm a vegetarian, and a couple of the guys are moving towards raw food, so she really had her hands full with us, and she gave us everything we could have wanted or needed. She was fantastic, and because some of these guys are moving towards raw foods, that just left more desserts for me. Good chocolate pudding pie, and it was really yummy. So anyway, I really had a great time this weekend, and so the next time we have it, we'll post it up on our blogs and on Facebook. I'm not sure when we're going to have one, and Lefty and I are going to lead another one together, but we will soon, and we'll let you know, because they're very profound, beautiful weekends. And if you're looking to clear out some blocks, to clear out any emotional blocks or spiritual blocks, Lefty and I can help facilitate some of those changes, and the way that people work together to help each other. Really a beautiful weekend. So I'm going to keep on driving home here along 476 South. Have yourself a beautiful Sunday afternoon, a great day. Thanks for watching and listening. This is Joseph Anthony of the Wonder Child blog, signing off for now.